Oh, looks like we got a couple of foreigners.
Well, that should make this a good story.
LCL.
Legitimately exists.
They do not believe in magic? How do they survive?
I see. So because there is insufficient magic in this pathetic realm, we are unable to retain our demonic forms.
Yes. But I...
Dear sister, your brother cannot get a job because he suffers from YD.
YD?
Indeed, a crippling illness. Those who suffer from it can only do what they yearn to do, which in my case is... Whoa, scary!
Before we get started, I just want to allow my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves, basically tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and then tell us your top 2 favorite main characters from anime, movies, or books, and why you like them.
That's a whole lot. Well, I'm Anthony Bowling. I work in anime, video games, been doing that for a while. Gosh, about like 20 years. I'm based out of, right now, just moved to Burbank, moved to LA, but originally I'm from El Paso, Texas. So like big Hispanic community. I'm Hispanic myself. So love bringing that into everything. But if we're doing this and we're getting right into like my top 2, I'll say like, this is hard. Everyone's going to say, I can't just choose 2 because this is books, movies, anime, everything. But I'll say if we're going anime, since that's what I know here.
Okay.
My number one thing when I first got into anime that I really hooked onto, like many people, watch Dragon Ball. Of course, Dragon Ball Z for a lot of people. Love Piccolo. And as things went on, I was like, well, Piccolo's just the best. And you get Vegeta. And I thought, okay, we have these. But then my brand, my favorite, and I'm going to count them as one, is the Ginyu Force. Ginyu Force is one of my favorite characters. Cool, thank you.
As a group?
As a group, yeah, I will say that just the spirit of how crazy they are, like, it is one of my favorite things when you have a character that is just so outside of what's happening there. They're in their own world and all that. And the fact that Dragon Ball at the time was so big, and then you get the Ginyu Force and it's like, what is this? Like very self-aware. I think it's just that character trait that I really like. Man, and I read a lot of books, movies and all that. I don't know, man. I've always, if I was going super old school and saying one of my favorite things that I read, there's a book series called, I don't know if you're a big reader, but I read only fantasy novels, really. There's an author named Robert Jordan, writes a book series called The Wheel of Time. They just did 3 seasons on Amazon. If anyone's watching that, the books are so much more full and filled out. But that I would just say, like, the characters in that have some of the most, you know, if you like Tolkien and all that, like Lord of the Rings and all that, they have kind of the same character traits. And I'm a big D&D player, big fantasy fan. So I think that Wheel of Time has a lot of really good characters. One of the main 3, his name is Matt. And he is the guy who always gets everyone into trouble. He's kind of the prankster of the trio. But then as he progresses, his thing is kind of like he's super lucky. Very like Han Solo, where like he'll be fighting and then like bring something back and stab a dude in the head on accident, like save his life type of thing. But then he kind of comes into it. And I really like characters that are unintentionally kind of thrust into hero roles or unintentional badasses, you know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So that's one of those where I think in a bigger, broad sense, if I was acting or doing something, I like to pull a lot of like those type of characters and stuff into that. That's what I like to play too. So I'd say, kind of to sum up, like those are some things outside, but that's what makes, you know, some of the Anthony picks.
Okay. I enjoy. I have to check out that second one. I've been trying to get more into like medieval, like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, D&D.
Yeah.
Learning more about the rules and stuff of the game and stuff, because I've always heard about it and stuff, but I've never ever played it or really seen it played for real. So I've been learning a little bit from another podcast friend of mine and stuff like that, and it seems really interesting. Game of Thrones, I've been trying to get into myself. See, the thing about me, I will say, is that I watch so much animation and so much stuff, and like I compare almost everything that I see action wise to that, basically.
Yes.
So a lot of times it just be like, oh man, this is slow. Like I if they fight like this, I feel like I can beat them. Like it's just like, and I think that's not the right mindset to have when I'm watching this stuff. Like it just doesn't work out for me all the time.
Oh man, yeah, I tried. I read like the first 5 Game of Thrones books before the series was coming out, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And then like the book stopped and all that, and then you watch it, and it's like they're so different. But I get it, man. You're watching it, and one of those books was like, hey, instead of us continuing the story, let's tell you what was going on this other continent while this story was happening. And it's like, no, you ended on a great part,
man. And then see, that was one of the things when I read Harry Potter, and then when I watched Harry Potter, it just seemed very different, because it's like, I guess when you're able to use your fantasy and your mind, you can picture things differently. And then when you actually kind of see how they depict it, you're like, dang, I feel like they use more magic in the books than you see on the screen, because I always feel like it's not enough magic in the Harry Potter.
Man, you were preaching to the choir, man. That's why I love animation. I think a lot of those, like the show I was talking about, Wheel of Time, it only got 3 seasons. It's going to get too expensive. It has the same problem that like the live action One Piece is going to have, where it's like there's too many people in the show, man. You can't. You're about to get into like mega fantasy, like giant worlds that you is going to be just millions to animate, So I wish a lot of those shows went back to old school and did, like, I would have watched a Game of Thrones animated series if they could have done the whole series and shown everything. I would have watched a Harry Potter animated if they had like everything in it. I think that's truly a really good way to get those long series out, that people don't want to watch. I mean, if people are going to binge anime series, man, why not binge a fantasy series that's done well, so that way you can get that full story?
For sure. And then you don't have to cut stuff out. And then what you're saying about the One Piece story, they are going to come to a point, because I'm just thinking about just Alabasta. If they make it to that arc, the amount of money to just make Alabasta, like, you know what I mean?
They had to break it into 2, from what I heard. Like they're breaking that into 2, where you get up to right up to like after Alabasta, and you're doing that, and then Alabasta does its own season where they're like going to have to break it, because it's like, man, the lead up to Alabasta is so much, you can't, and you need it, man. And they're throwing Little Garden in there too. It's like, oh man, come on.
And then to me personally, from just watching the first, because I only watched the first episode of the series, because I'll be honest with you, I'm on the opinion that live actions just aren't good. Like I know there are some that are decent, but to me they just will never reach the realm of good. Especially when you have an anime counterpart, and you can actually see a lot of those abilities being done. Because I always feel like the live action is so restrictive. Because I'm just like, the way Luffy fights and the way that you're seeing it in live action, I'm like, they're so limited by what they can do technology based on what they can do from their technology. Because I'm like, Luffy is so much more goofy, and you can flatten Luffy like a pancake. Like, it's so much stuff Luffy can do within himself that you just can't do. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, yeah. And it's sad, because I think that is one of the better, if not right now, like kind of the best adaptation they've done so far as like story and heart, and really, the fact that Oda was also involved, and that everyone was kind of like, hey, we want to make sure. I remember like 7 years ago, I directed the One Piece dub for like 6 years. And when they asked me to do it at like episode 649, and I had never seen it. I was in it, I'd been in it, but I had never watched the series. So I can't imagine the what they had to do live action wise, knowing that the anime is up to like Gear 5 and people are judging the first season based on 20 years of this anime and even longer for the manga. And it's a mountain that they got to climb. And of course, yeah, it's going to kind of get there. I treat it like when you go to a like a smaller theme park and it's like, oh, this is Disneyland, but I know that like Disney World is bigger. But I'm still going to have fun. It still has stuff I like. That's how I view the live action, where it's like, man, I'm just getting more ice cream. This is really good. I thought they did a great job like filling out characters. Like I love what they did with Sanji. Taking away a little bit of that simp aspect is always kind of fun, where it's like, make him a person, man. Make him do something, not just hard eyes and all that. But I think they really got to the heart of these characters and the fact that I can walk around and tell people, like, 4 or 5 years ago, I'd tell people, yeah, I'm directing One Piece. Oh, what's that? Oh, I don't watch anime. Now, anyone, you're like, hey, I used to work on One Piece and directed it. They're like, oh my gosh, I watched it. Is it anything like the live action? And they're like getting into it. And that's really, for me, that's what it's about, is where it's like, man, I just need to get you a little taste. And then once you like One Piece, then we're going to get you into the show.
Yeah. And then I like the fact that they're actually revamping the show and redoing the show, so now people can rewatch the show and taking out some of the filler too. So yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, it's good. I think this is all just good news for One Piece fans. I'm like in the thick of it, and for me, I'm like, man, the longer we can keep this going, the more that we can get it to people, because it's such a beautiful story, man. I mainlined it for 6 years, so I'm like in it. So yeah, I always champion like shows like that, where it's like, man, it's about found family. How can you not like a show that's about like coming together, overcoming adversity, and not caring about like, who they are? It's not about who they are. It's about like who they are inside, It's about that. So I think it's really cool. And I feel we can get a lot more of that if we animated other shows or kind of brought it to different audiences, because there's great stories out there, but a lot of times, like, now anime is just isekais right now. Now it's just this, now it's just that.
Well, I will say that I'm probably part of the problem with isekais, because I fucking love isekais. Bro, I don't know why.
Cautious Hero, man. I can't complain. That's some of my favorite work, man. Cautious Hero is a great show. I love isekais.
I was going to say my favorite one is going to be Reincarnation of a Slime. That is my favorite one. I have probably majority of all the mangas right here on the side. And people always ask me, why is that like one of my top 5 animes? And I'm just like, I just love the whole story of Rimuru starting off as this like working man, salary man, and then just coming off and becoming this whole leader of the Ginyu Force and everything, and being a demon lord and all that. And then when I was doing my research and I found out that you play Crimson, Guy Crimson, I was like, oh man, I definitely got to ask you about that.
Man, that was one. I'm from working at Funimation and then Crunchyroll for so long. The original director of Slime, Cliff Chapin, he and I have been friends for a very long time. He actually was the writer on the first show I ever directed at Funimation when I got like hired. It was a show called Knights and Magic.
You was in Knights and Magic too? Okay,
yeah, I directed that. That was a cool mech show, man. I loved that, dude.
Oh, you directed that?
I directed it. That was my first show that I ever directed.
Oh, I love that isekai. That's pretty good.
Dude. So that's why I say, man, I'm not gonna rag on isekais, dude. That's very near and dear to my heart. But he wrote for me on that, and we became close. Just talking, and then he didn't write on that. I'm sorry. He wrote on Ultimate Otaku Teacher. That was one that I was a lead in, and he and I would talk about, since he was an otaku, like the video game references and nerd references, and that's where I really got to know Cliff. And then right before he left Crunchyroll, he was like, hey, there is this guy in Slime that I really want you to play. And he goes, he hasn't talked, he's always in the background, but he's like, we're finally gonna get you. And he had like one line, and it was like the one where he like showed up and was just like, welcome to the Octogram or whatever. And then he's like, chop a table in half, and that was it. And they're like, who's this guy? He said like 3 things. And that's where we're at right now. I'm really excited. People always tell me like, this is in the manga, and I'm like, we haven't gotten there, but I'm excited.
Oh man, there's so much stuff in the manga, and also I'll say in the novels. Really, the novels is where you're gonna see a lot more what Guy Crimson does.
Where's I got my pretty boy right here.
Oh, okay.
My volume.
Man, just his storyline and everything about Guy Crimson is I just can't wait till they explore it, because I mean he's one of the first few demon lords they've ever had. Him and Diablo are like 2 friends from the underworld before he became. It's so much more they need to explore with Guy, man. Man,
there's so much, and that's like that's the thing I love about anime is sometimes like one of my favorite shows that I was ever in, and one of the first ones, The Devil is a Part-Timer. Have you ever watched that one?
Mm-hmm.
Devil's a Part-Timer. That was one of those shows that was just like, man, that's me. I play Alciel.
Yep.
And it's like, that's just a little piece of me right there. And when you get those roles, I don't know if Guy Crimson is so much like me. That's my David Bowie from Labyrinth, really. That's my Jareth, where he's like, oh, what are you doing? Welcome to, like, he's very showy and knows he's better than everyone. But then I have characters like Alciel where he's supposed to be tough, but then he's like, Master, please don't do that. Save money.
That's what I'm like. He is so funny the way he's so like so cheap and not trying to spend money. Oh man, it makes the show so fun.
Yeah.
And that's why I like isekais, because they're just fun stories, super powerful characters, but most of the time it's just kind of like a slice of life, low key.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and give my 2 favorite main characters, and then we're just going to jump into my recommendations after that.
Okay.
For my 2 favorite main characters, for my first one, I had to choose my boy Deku. One of the main reasons is because Deku is literally the reason why I watched My Hero from, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd episode, when you have him run after Kanchan trying to save him. And then you get the quote from my All Might basically saying that if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to act, because at that point he wasn't able to use his power because he had used up the limit of his power at that time. But seeing Deku, someone without a quirk, try to move and save somebody made him want to act. And man, greatest moment.
Good call, man. That goes through my head a lot when you think of like, what would I do in that situation? And sometimes you're just like acting before it happens, and I'm like, I get you, Deku, man. And if you are not into that show, and if you are not crying at the United States of Smash moment,
oh man,
if that moment doesn't hit you, that is one of my favorite moments in all of anime, along with like My Squad We Rage and like, just Goku going Super Saiyan the first time. Like there's these iconic slices, and it's so cool to like be a part of that, man. Great call, dude. Deku, that's great.
Now they talk about My Hero favorite scenes. My favorite scene will have to be the scene where you have all of 1A trying to bring Deku back after he left them. Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes. Them all coming together and telling them reasons. And then you have Kanchan ended off with him actually apologizing, which I say is one of the best character arcs we've gotten, except for Vegeta, because I always say the version of Vegeta we get from Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super is a whole different person.
You got him dancing bingo.
Man.
Do anything for his woman, do anything for his kids, whereas before he was like, I'm gonna kill everyone.
Man, that's like, what? It makes you start questioning if Goku's a good guy now. Like, you know what I mean?
Hey,
like,
we all. That's why I said I loved Piccolo and Vegeta, because that's also like the best dads in anime, right there.
So funny, man. For my second favorite character, I've been thinking about this for a little bit. I usually would probably go not Deku. I already said Deku. I mean Goku. I would usually go Goku because Goku's one of my favorite. But I think I'm gonna switch it up and go Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. And one of my main reasons for that is every time I watch that first episode and you have Tanjiro come back to his house and he just sees his whole family like have been like destroyed and killed, and he sees his sister, and out of nowhere you have can't think. It's the water Hashira. I can never think his name when I'm on the spot. And he comes and he's trying to kill his sister, and you just see Tanjiro, this person who's never trained or fought anybody that we know of at that point, able to out trick this guy and literally almost kill the water Hashira if he wasn't able to look up in time. I always give props for that moment because I always thought that was pretty decent, and makes you keep in the mindset that you can never count nobody out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are always, man. I'm a big. There's some good slice of life, and that's what I like about being a director. Is sometimes you don't pick everything you work on. They'll say, hey, you got to do this show, but sometimes, and those have been some of the best little surprises when they're like, hey, can you do this show? Can you do this little slice of life baseball show? Can you do this little, can you help AD on this? And because I love shonens, I love fighting, I love mechs, I love like action, but there are some where like just either it's mystery or like Steins Gate or something where you're just like, it's so weird and sci-fi. Like there's some really good stories too, man.
Yeah. I know, like just from like isekais and stuff like that, one of my favorite isekais is Gate. And I know I would love to work on that project because to me, it makes so much sense in the fact that like you have the Marvel world versus the real world. And you start to try to think like, the fantasy world versus the real world. And you start to think like, what can they really do versus our guns and stuff like that? And I like kind of seeing that kind of play out a little bit. And it's very exactly how I feel like it would go in my mindset. But I don't know. A lot of people have their mindset that if the Harry Potter world went crazy, that they could destroy the real world. And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I was like, dude, I know spells or something, but I just don't. We've never seen them move fast, especially in the movies. If they move like they do in the movies, I don't see them beating us. Like,
yeah, and they also say like they're so kind of. I get if that, but I wonder like. When they get confused of like, what's a car? What's this? Like, you could just run over wizards for a while, I guess, and they'd be like, oh, that hurts us.
See, I always say I feel like they'll get us an initial attack. Like we'll be surprised at what magic is and shit like that. But I'm like, once we get serious and like we drop a nuke, a bomb, bring in a team of people with machine guns, I've never seen them move fast enough to be able to
dodge a bullet. Like, how are you going to dodge a nuclear radiation?
Man, like if they got magic to tort that, then maybe we need to give them their props. They need whatever rights, whatever they need. Like no fighting. If they just casually knocking nukes out the way.
Oh my God! This is where. Remember when we used to have fantasy and it was fun, and now in our day and age, we're like, man, we got to prepare for if this magic war happens.
You never know.
You never know, man.
You never know, man. But honestly, if it did come to that, I would. If I could switch to the other side and be mad,
absolutely,
I'm all on it.
I'm right with you. I'd be like, teach me, or like, what do you need? You need a house smuggle? Well, I'll do whatever, man.
Man, and it's only because, and I know this is probably bad. I just want to hit somebody with the killing curse, just to do it, just because I think it's just an interesting way to just somebody getting on your nerves and having a kidnap. It's just over. Like I don't have to worry about him no more.
That'd be good for like insects in the house. Like you see a fly, about a cadet. Got it.
Man. Now, kind of moving on things that we've been watching recently, books that you've been reading, or if you've taken any cool vacations or anything you want to talk about.
Oh man, that's such a wide array. I'm big on travel. My wife and I love to travel. We watch. This is like aside from any anime, but of course everything always ties back in to animation and video games and anime. I've always been a big Greece and Greek mythology fan, and my wife and I got to go to Greece a couple years ago. And currently we are watching Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates. Wonderful. He's an archaeologist, and he's like a real life Indiana Jones. He is the nicest, just kind of warmest guy. It's like watching Anthony Bourdain when he used to go travel and eat. This guy is legitimately a phenomenal historian and archaeologist, and they just did an episode on Greece. He went to Greece and did some stuff. So we like watching a lot of like those type of things where you travel and it's history, because what I'll start to do from that is incorporate stuff into like, oh man, we're doing like a D&D, like a Greece, a Theros campaign. So I want to bring some of that into it.
Mhm.
Or what else are we watching a lot? I mean, I'm still watching One Piece. I mean, that's
never ending.
Never ending. So I'm watching the dub.
Are you
now that
caught up?
released. I am I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind because of us moving.
Oh, okay. So
we
you're
can-
pretty much right there. A lot of people I talk to always be like, I'm like around 100 or 200. So you seen Gear 5, you seen Wano, you an egghead.
I directed Gear 5, man. That was I got to do the dub on that. That was awesome. But yeah, that like I read the manga too. That's the one that I keep up on. We'll still kind of watch My Hero. I'm actually working right now. The trailer came out for that My Hero All's Justice game. That they announced, I think, a couple weeks ago. That's something I directed most of the audio on that trailer that you see, which is pretty cool. And I've been working with another team, working at Okratron with some other guys, and we've been dubbing that right now. So it's cool to get to work with the people that I've been with for years and years and be like, oh, it's good to hear you get to do that, and still working with like the My Hero cast and getting to do, for me, it's really cool getting to do some of those moments in the game where they're like, yeah, so say these lines, and they're all the iconic lines, you know? So it's like, yes, you get to kind of work.
Yeah, man, that'd be amazing.
Well, every time that it's, you know, everyone has to do a plus ultra, I'm like, all right, guys, here's a plus ultra. How do we do that? I'm like, come on, what do you mean, how do I do that? You gotta go plus ultra.
Man.
Do it enthusiastic, say it.
That's amazing. So do you direct more than you voice act at the moment?
Yeah, well, currently, let me see. The past year, I left Crunchyroll back in 2023. So basically 24 and 25, I kind of ventured on my own. And when that happened, I stopped directing and like for them anime and went to Okratron, and I helped do Dragon Ball Sparking, the video game that came out a couple years ago. I helped them a lot with that. Did some other projects, and then we started working on this My Hero game. But while doing that, like I've been in currently, like the current seasons at Crunchyroll, like the A rank adventure. I'm an A rank. Like there's so many long titles.
Is that the one with Drew Breedlove?
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly what you're.
I play the like prince or the king of the nation that he's in. Like I'm Mastema, his like best friend, who's like, I rule this country, but you're my best friend. Go clean it, please. Go save us. So I got to be in that quite a bit. I was just in the Black Butler Emerald Witch arc. I play a big German dude named Dietrich, who has a big deep voice. What are you doing, Phantom Hive? That's me doing my Reinhardt from Overwatch.
That is amazing.
But yeah, I've been doing that. I was just in, I forget what the other show is that just came out. It's about like there's an above world and they drop all their trash down below, and people are like, stop, like basically like if this was Asgard would drop their trash on Earth. So all the Earthlings are like, how dare you think you're better than us? And I forget what the show is called, but I was in the first 2 episodes as a dude who's basically like, welcome to the underworld, and he gets his fingers bitten off and stuff. Like it is a wild thing. I forget, man, I should have had these ready, but currently.
Is it a new show? I can't.
It is a new show.
Okay, I definitely got to check that out because I don't even remember. I can't think of what that is, and that sounds like very interesting too. Like low key.
Yeah, I'm gonna get yelled at where people are probably screaming like it's this one. But yeah, there's that. What else? And there's a few other things. I know that Spy Family's coming back in October.
Can't wait for that.
So I got my boy Franky Franklin. That's another guy that's like LCL for me. Franky is just me from like high school.
Oh
like
man,
trying to be the cool dude, wanting to hang out with the cool guys, and just like not getting anywhere. Just like, hey ladies, let's go. Okay, I gotta. No, you know what? You have a boyfriend. Cool. Like,
one thing I will say though, I like people like that that's willing to shoot their shot, because a lot of times you got people who not even willing to do that. You know what I mean? So
they hate on Franky, and he has some of the best riz. I mean, they talk about Lloyd, and it's like Lloyd is a spy. He's that, but like Franky shoots his shot.
you know what I mean? Only thing I'll say about him is I wish they would make him a little bit more competent in battle and stuff like that. Because I feel like when you watch, have you ever watched Sakamoto Days?
Yes.
And you got the main character, then you have his number 2, and he's able to actually get stuff done. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh, he's amazing, low key. That's one of the reasons why I like Sakamoto's Days, because I'm like, oh, he's amazing. I like his ability that he can read minds and stuff like that, but he's able to actually still doesn't need the main character to actually get stuff done. So I like that.
Yeah. So if we can get Franky up to speed, because he got done dirty. They announced all these pops, and they give the dog 2 pops, and he wasn't even in the first season. He wasn't even in the first thing, and then they're hating on Uncle Franky like that. But that just means he's going to get a special one.
Oh man,
special pops.
He just need a little moment just to get all the characters about him. You know what I mean? Everybody else kind of gets a little bit of a moment. You know what I mean? He can't just beat somebody up or knock somebody down, save Anya. You know what I mean? You can have a little arc. You
have a little bit. So,
all right, jumping right into our interview. For my first question, I want to ask you is, what basically got you into voice acting, and when did you know you wanted to do it?
Oh man, I've always been like, I'm a child of the 80s, so I grew up on cartoons. That was my obsession, back when Nicktoons started, and it was Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy, and then Saturday morning cartoons like Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, all that, Disney Afternoon, DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, and watching all of those up to elementary school. As I grew older, I started to realize, oh, that guy sounds like that. And then you watch the credits, and I'm like, Jim Cummings, oh, okay. Or like Billy West, Tom Kenny, like who are Charlie Adler? Who are these names I keep seeing? June Foray was still working, and all these great just names that you see. And that's when I kind of realized, oh, that's a job. Like, people do that. And I was, of course, being a kid, like, I would do impressions, and all kids try and talk like the cartoon characters. And that was just something that I kept doing and just kept doing all the way up to like middle school, Beavis and Butthead and all of that. And then like high school, and anime starts hitting, and we start doing impressions of like Roshi and like, hey, Krillin, and all that. And so when that started happening, I also always wanted to be an actor. I was on stage. My mom wanted to be an actor, so she kind of took me around when she would like do plays and stuff. But she didn't really do a lot of it, but it got the bug in me, and the fact that I could perform. And then when I moved from El Paso to Dallas for school, went to the University of Texas at Arlington. And there I met another one of my classmates was Caitlin Glass, who
wow, that's amazing.
If you know in the anime world, very prolific, amazing director and actor. But her and I used to. She was an upperclassman, and because we're in theater, we're all hanging out doing stuff. Also, Sean Gann, who directs Kaiju Number 8.
Oh, yes.
We brought him in too, because Caitlin originally we would go watch Dragon Ball Z, and I would record it on my VCR of all things, not even DVR back then. I had a cassettes, and we would record Dragon Ball, and we would watch it. It was during the Majin Buu arc, and we would go do our rehearsals. But like before rehearsal, we would get like some dinner. We'd watch an episode of Dragon Ball, and then go to rehearsal. And
that's amazing.
And so from that, like, we were actors. And then Caitlin had told me, hey, I have a friend who's like does audio at Funimation. They're going to take me down. Like, I'll let you know if anything happens, like if I can bring you. And I was like, oh, cool. She went down and got an audition while she was there. And that's how she became Winry Rockbell from Full Metal Alchemist. She was like visiting a friend, and they're like, hey, you're an actor, do you want to audition? Like, we need actors here. Because back then no one was watching anime. No one really knew about it a lot. Like, it was those of us who watched Toonami religiously and then that was it. And then the ones who really knew. And so basically when she got hired about a month later, she invited me to go to the studio, and Colleen Klinkenbeard was directing her on an episode. And Colleen was like, oh, are you an actor too? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, do you want to hop in the booth and try and do a bit? Like, are you interested in this? And I was like, I love anime. Yeah. And so she put me in and was like, you have a good voice. I'm actually going to use you on this one bit. So hold on. And she left to go get me like a contract to like pay me. And Caitlin basically, she looked at me and she goes, wow, welcome to Funimation, I guess. And
welcome aboard.
And from there, it took me a while, but like anything with actors, like, now that I was in the roster, it was me, getting to know the different directors and auditioning. And it was basically that gave me an outlet to say, oh, cool. Like, I have this. I'm also studying acting at school. And then I found an improv troupe in Dallas. So pretty much for the same amount of time, I have like 20 years experience of like improv and anime, because I started them both at the same time, and just kind of grew that into eventually when I asked like, hey, I'd like to try directing. Hey, I'd like to try doing this. And I just, hitting at the right moments kind of put me in the right place. And about after a year of me directing, they came up to me and they said, hey, they want us to start recording One Piece again. We haven't recorded it for 5 years because, they stopped. And they go, we're going to try and catch up. Do you want to do that? And I was like, who would it be? And they're like, it would be you and Mike McFarlane. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like not only am I being asked to do like the Simpsons of anime, but it's alongside someone who I've watched and who it's just in a meta sense. I'm like, wait, so I'm going to mentor under Master Roshi?
That's what I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
But now they're my coworkers. Now they're my friends. But back then I was like, man, this is scary. I was like, can I have the weekend to think about it? Because I didn't want to be the guy who like messed up One Piece for everyone. Like I knew how people thought of like some of the 4Kids decisions and even some of the Funimation decisions. And it's hard when you have that many episodes and that many directors touching hands on it. And honestly, One Piece should have its own studio. It should have its own like team, like, as much as it took for that show, it should have been like isolated in the sense of like, man, they're doing their own thing. Leave them alone. We can't mess with it because there were so many moving parts. But
one thing I've learned, I forgot who told me, was that I guess there was a point in time where One Piece wasn't doing good. Like, I guess a lot of people wasn't watching it. So that's why they stopped the dub. And then I guess after the pandemic, that's when the resurgence came, and that's when they started really getting redubbing the show and stuff like that. But I guess it was a period of time when it was hard for Japan to get anyone to buy the rights to want to dub One Piece, which I did not know that. Which when they told me that, I was surprised, because I always thought One Piece was this like top anime, like, you know what I mean, like selling anime, you would think.
And I think that's what's hard, is because it is, but for the English audience, I think when we were originally dubbing it, the priority, the house that Dragon Ball built is like Funimation. So it was Dragon Ball. That's where like kind of the money was going. We're advertising Dragon Ball in this. So I think One Piece got left a little behind because it was already out. It already had the 4Kids. People thought it was that. Kind of like if you told people like, oh man, you should watch like Pokemon Horizons, the new one right now. Like it's pretty good. It's got this. And they're like, I remember Pokemon. It's all little kid stuff and just Pikachu and all that. It's like, it's so different now. Like it's not what you think. And that's like true of all anime. But when you look at old One Piece, yeah, it can be kind of rough, but then look at where we've come. And like some of that, like Wano was one of my favorite arcs. That was like that was my last arc that I did. I put so much. I was also doing Film Red at the same time.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was directing Film Red, and then for like the start of Wano, I was helping my AD on the first like 14 episodes because Mike was out of town. So there were like a lot of moving parts there, but that was something that I was like, this is big. Something is happening. And then when that Gear 5th came out, and I remember the current director, Emily Fajardo, she was much in the same way that Mike gave me the straw hat. And he was like, hey, man, when we hit the Zoe arc, he goes, here, man, it's your show now. You do the casting, you do this. Like, I helped you through Dressrosa. You know how to do this. So he, from Zoe on, kind of pushed me off the dock. He went and did Chainsaw Man. That's how long ago this was. So he went to Chainsaw Man. I went to One Piece doing like Zoe and then Whole Cake and Wano. And then Emily joined during Wano, and I started teaching her how I did it. And I kind of knew, like, I think I should be done after Wano, much in the same way that Mike gave me that. Like, I've done this for 6 years, and now we're getting into Egghead. Now we're getting into a different thing. And so I was like, Emily, like, it's your turn now. And then I pretty much I left shortly after that. But like the last episode I got to direct was episode 1074, which was like the third Gear 5 episode where he's fighting Kaido. But man, getting to ride that wave and be on that, man, it is surreal to be here now. Like, that's how my journey went. And like, that's kind of how I got into it. I fell into a lot of this because right now I'm like, dude, I'd still love to do like prelay. I love to do, more improv stuff, more video games and all of that. So it's really neat to, like, I didn't anticipate being here in animation, but I'm an actor. And, when you find something that you can speak through, it's like, anime's so fun and it's a different challenge and all of that. So that's kind of been my long journey to get here.
That's amazing. I'll just be honest with you. If I was able to get a part of a show that I really enjoyed, like a One Piece, a Bleach, or Dragon Ball, and be like the director, it'd probably be hard for me to let it go, man. They'd probably be like, man, we need someone else to come in and see what they can do. Sure.
There was an episode that we did. And Emily got to finish these, but they had the Toriko One Piece Dragon Ball crossovers that were like from the 90s. And I got to do one because for some reason they were like, we only want you to dub like episode 2. And it's like, but there are like 6 episodes. And they're like, nah, just 2. And it's like, oh, okay. So I got to direct the old school Dragon Ball cast, which I'd worked with before, but it's different. Like, I've worked with Sabbath as Zoro for like 6 years, but then directing him as Vegeta, it's like, hey, so can you give me a final flash, please? It's like, but like waiting,
like, that's not even in the script.
Yeah, I just asked him.
Go ahead.
You know what? I did ask him in Knights and Magic. I asked if I could cast Sabbath, and my producer was like, yeah, why not? And I was like, I don't know, like, would he want to be in my show? And I put him in, and he's like this young prince who's just kind of like, it would be like if
I know exactly who you have him as soon as you said that.
He was a young dude. He was
the red-haired prince?
Yes, dude. So when we were doing, and he had like his lion punch or whatever, I said, hey, could you give me a wolf fang fist just for me? And he goes, hell yeah. And so he's doing that. He goes, wolf fang fist. And there's the big like wolf head. And I was like, we can't use it, but that was just for me. Thank you. And he's like, yeah, of course, man. But that was like my first time working with him, was having him in my show and realizing, oh, we're just actors. Like, they want to work, but then you get to know their personalities. And that's when it becomes like funny. And when we're out eating and they'll be like, oh, let's tip, how many berries you want to tip? Like, shut up, you idiot. Like, yeah.
See, stuff like that would make me really geek out. It'd be like, okay, so yeah, I really do know about the show. Because sometimes I bring people on and they just act in the shows. They don't really know much about the background of the show or the characters. They just come in there and do a job. And I can understand that because I do that every day. I go and do a job. I don't necessarily remember what I did there in those 8 hours, but I know I was there for 8 hours. You know what I mean? So I feel that. For my next question I want to ask you is, you were in Black Clover's Sword of the Wizard King. Mm-hmm. How was that experience? And how was it working on an anime that's on Netflix?
What's funny is that a lot of times when we work on shows, like, sometimes we don't even know what they'll be on. So they're like, oh, this is for
okay.
Netflix. Like when they had the Black Clover movie, unless they like otherwise say, sometimes it'll be like very small, like, hey, you know, we'd like to ask you back for this character for this, and then it might say Netflix. But for the most part, other than like a new director or anything, for me, it's still like the job. There's nothing new. What threw me off, like the first time I did Pokemon Horizons. Let me say it right. Pokemon. They have you know, at Crunchyroll and at Funimation, you know, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the you know, sometimes the subtitles. If we were doing One Piece, if we had them, but more often than not, there's nothing there. You know, and you're just looking at the script and then the screen. Working on Pokemon, they have it like a karaoke thing. So at the bottom of the screen, you see the you know, the lines coming up, and it'll be like, here's your line, and it lines up. And for me, that was different because it'll like, you know, like in karaoke when it has like a long note. Yeah, it's like da, 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 da. And sometimes they'll be like, okay, hold the end of this word. So it's like, hey, where are you going? Like, oh wait, I'm sorry, I said that weird. And it's like, oh yeah, you just need to say going longer. And I'm like, cool, no, I said it quick, but then it was still going. So I'm like, going. And it takes a while to get that. And I felt weird because I'm like, I swear I know how to do this. But those are really the things that kind of are just different for me, as if the like procedure is kind of different. But man, I've gotten to work with so many people that it's like, hey, I get enthusiastic when like the director or the actors are kind of getting into it. And that's how I just approach everything, is like, man, this is fun. So rather than being nervous or scared, it's like, let me just figure out how to do this, but then we're going to get to a place of play eventually. So that's where I try and go. That's what I try and look at. But yeah, if I see like Netflix or Disney or something like that, it's like, oh, okay, don't freak out, because you know it's another job. So I try to keep it, because it's like, hey man, it shouldn't matter. I need to focus on the character and all that. So that's what I've and it's taken me about you know, the 20 years of my career to get here, to be like, now instead of jumping at it, be like, oh, okay, oh, this is Netflix, it's a big one.
See, I think in my head, how I thought about it was like, you have your Funimations, your Crunchyrolls, and then your Netflix and your Amazon. Like each had their own different studios. So when they were they'll bring you in, and it'll be like you're at the Netflix studio recording for Black Clover. So I guess that's not exactly how it's done. Like y'all record somewhere else and then they sell it to Netflix, basically.
No, well, they'll still do the studio, but for Black Clover specifically, we're able to use remote studios. So specifically with like Crunchyroll, they have a building, they have 12 studios. So why wouldn't they have people there? But some of the other places, like, oh, if I'm in Dallas and they're doing Black Clover for Netflix, that's going to come out of California. So it's basically just, oh, we'll remote in. And I think I used my home rig at the time back in Dallas because we still, a lot of us actors had it still set up from COVID because we all had to work from home. So a lot of us had our like work ready booths. So we just kind of kept those going for emergencies. And it actually worked out, because after that, a lot more remote work happened. So that gives us the advantage. If they say, hey, do you have a good, you know, send us a sample. And if that doesn't work, they usually have like a satellite studio. And then much like we're doing now, like, this is how I record. This is where I'm going to be directing for a lot of the game that I'm doing. Like, this is how we do it, which is crazy. That's amazing. It seemed like ever since the pandemic happened, it actually made y'all work kind of easier, because now y'all can literally kind of do it anywhere y'all are in the world. And I feel like that's good and bad, because it also gives you more competition too. And then it also probably makes it hard on like sound engineers, because I know it's like it's hard to get a consistent sound when everybody's kind of recording from different places, and it shows you how good they are. Because I mean, to make all that come together and sound like it needs to, gotta give them the props. Oh, absolutely. That for me is, I think, the bigger issue than, you know, how we would sound in doing this. Because if we get approved, it's like, okay, well, there's nothing more I can do. Or they might say, put some blankets, put some more padding. But yeah, that engineer has to go through every different recording, whether it's like, okay, these 10 actors were in studio, these 5 were in remote, then we got to look at these 5 and make sure that they all sound the same in comparison to these. Like, that's the magic right there for a lot of us, where it's like, oh, I'm recording at home, I just need to make sure my AC is off, I don't get too hot, like, my leaf blower's going off, or someone's doing that. Like, that's kind of what we deal with. But that's kind of the difference in remote, where like if we were in the studio, you're trying to do them and get them this way. When you're doing this remote, you have to like consistently be like, what's happening in the environment? Someone's doing their leaf blower. That was downstairs. Oh my gosh, my cat, like how you just saw, my cat jumped up on here. Like,
yeah.
But that's why I like directing, because you're not recording me, man. My cat can be meowing, and I'll just be like, sorry, man, didn't do that anyways. I need that one more time. Give it a little bit more of this, and that. Meow. Like, mute.
Yeah. And even when you say like trying to make sure no disturbances are happening, I mean, you got to do that actively as a podcaster, because now I have to make sure I can hear you, and then everything outside for me is clear, because sometimes you might have a police truck or a fire truck or ambulance come past, and that can affect the sound, and I got to try to cut off and make sure we're hearing you and stuff like that. So yeah, it affects a lot of different things trying to have a clear sound, man. For my next question, I want to ask you is, do you think there's any misconceptions about voice acting or directing?
Ooh, great question. Absolutely. It's this is like me being the teacher. This is like, if anyone ever asks, I want to be a voice actor, how do I do this? This is my most genuine answer. I think a big misconception we'll say with voice acting first, is people think, oh, if I watch it and I can like sit here and be like, oh, I'm the Prince of All Saiyans. Wow, I sound just like Vegeta. I should be a voice actor. It's like, okay, well, number one, voice acting. Acting is in voice acting. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize that and they'll say, well, how am I supposed to get experience? I don't have money and all that. And it's like, hey, auditioning for a play is free. You can figure out where those are at. You can find something online and read it out loud. Like, you can learn how to enunciate, how to, make sure that everything comes out clear. There's free YouTube videos that would tell you how to like do dialects and things like that. I think it's the passion of researching in this day and age is real easy. I think a lot of people want basically like a TikTok about how to be a voice actor. And it's like, man, you can't learn it in 6 seconds, man. You can't learn it by just being like, be a voice actor, do this, do this, do this, the end. Like, no, that's not how it works. But once people get into that booth, you have to act, you have to listen to those beeps, you have to match flaps, there's a musicality to it. It is a lot more than just going in a booth and being like, here's some words. There's a technique to it. So I'll say that's a kind of a misconception. And then for directors, what do directors really do in anime? We don't just say like faster, slower. We have to research the project. We have to think about the bigger narrative. Who would be a good voice match? And when we're working with producers and licensors, they might say, hey, put this actor. Oh, well, I know these actors and I know they have experience, and they might say, well, this person has 100,000 followers. This person has 2 million followers on this. Can you use them instead? And that's kind of where directors and all of that, like, people will blame directors, like, why'd you do that? I didn't. A good example on Film Red, One Piece Film Red. It was not my decision to have the character sing in Japanese and not use Amelie's voice. That was a decision made by the company. That was made by Toei. They wanted to showcase Otto because Otto is a big Japanese star. And I think in the other languages, they kind of weren't, English is their second biggest market. That and Spanish are going to be, Japanese, English, Spanish. And I think either French or German is right after that. But they decided for English, like, hey, I think originally they wanted to get Ariana Grande to sing the songs, and they were like, she minimum is $1 million, and we're anime. And they were like, oh, unless this was like Oda asking, and if they made a big deal, like if this was a Hollywood production, that would have happened. This is anime. So they're like, scale it back. And I had always had Amelie. She is a beautiful singer. She is a phenomenal actor. Already knew that. And when it was like, oh, this is a movie about a singer, that I was like, that's who it is. And what actually worked out is that Amelie got to do all of those songs on her own album, because they're like, yeah, you're not in the movie. So she was able to release her own album of all the songs from the show, and that was her album, which was great because it like went straight to her. So things like that, though, are like, if someone came up to me and they're like, why'd you do that? I didn't. I'm just as broken up that we didn't get to hear all those songs in English, and get to watch the animation and just listen and take it in. Instead, people are like reading and like, what's going on? But other than like that, I guess to sum up, like, I think a misconception is that directors have a lot of work to do in the bigger scheme of things. And a lot of times when the actors come in, we're kind of like when you go bowling, we're like the rails that come up so that you don't get a gutter ball. One of my best friends, Ian Sinclair, he and I came up together in Walla, and now he's Brooke. Now I directed him as Brooke, and he's, Ian's phenomenal, but he and I have that relationship where he's like, oh, I want to do this and do that. And I'm like, hey, rein it in, because the next line is Brooke needs to be brave and serious because Robin does this. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, got it. And so like the director has this bigger kind of thing, because, if we let actors go, and I'm the same way, I'd be like, this is fun, and this is fun, and this is fun. But then you start getting lines that don't sound like they're talking to each other. They're just sound bites. Yeah. And they're just kind of like, oh, so it's really like directors have to be a chef and make sure everything, you can't just throw everything in a pot and say, that's food. Like, I'm going to put all the good stuff in. You're like, no. Some of this can blend. Some of this can't. You got to put this here, Don't put that in yet. And, it's a living thing. And I think people don't understand that too. They think, I've been a voice actor for 2 years. I think I want to try directing. And no, my friend, it is not that. I mean, unless you have, and I went to school for that. I have a bachelor's of fine arts. Like, I've directed plays. So, it's like, if you have the language of that, you can do it. But I don't think that it should be something that people should just jump into, because, you don't want to sour that experience for someone. How many times have you thought, I'm ready to do this? You jump in, it's horrible. And you're like, I'm never doing that again. And it's like, oh man, but it wasn't about that thing. It was just, you weren't ready. So I think that right now, and the same way with actors and directors, or anyone in the industry, like it can feel discouraging right now, because a lot of new people are coming in, a lot of people getting leads and then gone. Then you don't hear from them again, or you do that, or a lot of people you might have heard of. So it's a living, breathing thing that I'd say, if you want to be in this industry, invest in yourself and don't get discouraged. There is plenty of time. That's why I keep saying I've been doing this for 20 years. Man, I am so honored and humbled that people want to reach out and interview me, because in my opinion, I'm like, man, I'm just a guy doing his job. I don't consider myself, like you need to talk to Savvy. You need to talk to those guys. Those are the guys with the names. Those are the guys who but then those are the guys saying like, oh man, Anthony, he's directed me, and he's great in this and that. And it's this wonderful little synergy of like, okay, man, like it's very humbling to be here. So that's why I encourage people to, don't have these misconceptions, man. Invest, see what you're doing. Remember that if you're going to audition against all the people you like listening to. If you wanted to be an actor in My Hero, you're auditioning against Deku. Like you're auditioning, you're doing stuff like that. So that's just my thing, man. It's encouraging. Like, if you want to do it, invest in yourself and don't give up.
Yeah. And I want to say for sure, interviewing you today has been a hell of an experience, because I was just saying in the beginning, when you told me some of the things you directed and how long you've directed them, I'll say when I did my research, I didn't realize you directed One Piece for as long as you did, or that you were in Knights Are Magic as the director. Yeah. That's literally a series that I watch every so often just as a background show
Oh,
because I
man.
just like the show, and I'll
Oh,
read
that's
the
great.
manga too. So I don't know if you read the manga for Knights of Magic because it's an interesting manga.
I did, and I'm very sad that it's not going to get more
Oh.
episodes like that. That was just one of those because it was so kind of wholesome where I was waiting for like earnesty, like something's going to happen, but it's just like, no, I just keep making better and better. And when I was working there, I didn't know Briner that well, and he had only been in My Hero, I think, for that first season. Maybe they were doing season 2. So when I was like, hey, my lead character starts off as like a little boy, and they make fun of him for like sounding like a girl. So I need an actor, and they're like, Briner. and that's how we started working on that and became really good friends. And then like when we were doing Wano, Briner was like one of my top 3 choices for Momonosuke. Like when he grew up, because he's so like, and we sent our auditions out, and like when Briner came back as one of them, I was like, well, he was in my top 3, so that's who I'm voting for. And Emily was like, here we go, and he killed it, man. He sounds great. But that's once again like we were talking about, man, all this stuff that you don't realize. Like I'm just doing my job, but it's very humbling to look at. Like I love Anime News Network because they track all the stuff I do, and just looking at all that, I'm like, oh my gosh, man! Like I've done like over 470 or 480 animes. Like it is crazy to look at my name and be like, oh man, I'm like top 15. Like there's Savit and Monica and like Tatum, and which is great because Michael Tatum and I started at the same time. We were in the same show, Samurai 7. That was our first show together.
Okay.
And that was a dope show. Samurai 7 would be a recommendation for anyone. It is based off of Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, the black and white film, but Samurai 7, it was by Studio Gonzo, which does great work. That came out back in like 2000 and maybe 6 or 7. Beautiful animation, great story. That would be, I don't know if you asked for recommendations, but I'm going to recommend that one.
I'm definitely got to check that out because I don't think I've seen that, and I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty good,
dude. You dig it. It would be, I mean, without the kind of, it's got the vibe of Samurai Champloo without it being like as cool as that. Like it's not like a hip hop like Samuel Jackson.
They got that whole jazz feel to the show.
Yeah, man. But what it does is it has that kind of old Edo period, but it's also like steampunk, where it's like, oh, there's mechs, and like one of the Seven Samurai, Sabbat plays a big like mech samurai, which is awesome. Like it is a great cast, great show. Like I couldn't recommend that one enough. Samurai 7 is just one of those that I would watch regardless of if I was in it or not.
Winding down to our last 3 questions.
All right.
So my next question I want to ask you is, out of all the voices that you have played so far, which one do you consider your best?
My best? I think that the ones that
connects with you the most.
I was gonna say, I think once again, Alciel.
Okay.
When it took 7 years to get a second season of Devils Apart.
Man, you know what I mean? That was crazy.
And that is one of my favorite. I am shocked that it does not have pops. I'm shocked that it is not more like that show is so funny. It is, we call it Coming to America with Demons. Like it is great. And after 7 years, I remember going in the booth and they're like, we're finally doing it. And I sat in there and I was like, okay, what's happening? And they're like, well, the first scene is Alciel getting upset that Lucifer ordered something off Amazon and Mao is being lazy. And I'm like, oh, good. And when I stepped in that booth and I heard him, I kind of like got a little teary, and then beep, beep, beep. And it just came out like that. Like it felt like putting on a comfortable pair of like socks.
Oh, so you
man.
didn't have to.
Alciel is just so close to just that little fussy boy where I was like, here he is. There he is, master. Like it came out so naturally, and it just felt good. Like it felt like seeing an old friend, because I hadn't talked to him for 7 years. Maybe occasionally at a con where someone's like, say this line, say that. But it's always good when you get to when the character's alive again, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So that one comes very naturally. In Franky from Spy Family, that one's also second nature to me, where it's just like, I got this one, Lloyd. I know how to play cool guy.
But my next question I want to ask you is, if you can shout out anybody that has been a good support system for you over the years, and if you want to explain why having a support system has helped you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, support systems amongst actors is also so wonderful, because we kind of do live in a little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would ask, like, how is it acting with this person? Like, hey, sometimes I don't even know who's in the same show with me, because we don't record together. But my support system has always been like those group of guys ever since my early days. You know, I've known Caitlin for a long time. Caitlin's always been amazing to me. Sean, like, they were my theater. And then when I got into the anime world, you know, Ian Sinclair, Chris George, Tyson Reinhardt, Jeremy Inman, those 4 guys right there are some of the closest friends I have. I play D&D with 3 of them. But like, there's, you know, those are names that people would like, oh yeah, other directors and stuff. But like, there's an engineer, Matt Grounds, that we brought into the D&D fold. He's an amazing guy. But like, all of those workers, I still try and like keep up with, because that was the hardest part about leaving Crunchy, is like the people. Like, you're making that family. I know when I left, I sent a text to all the Straw Hats, and I was like, man, after 6 years, it has been an honor. Like, I felt like I was leaving my family, because you know so much about them, and it's really special. So that kind of right there, like that support network, and being able to have those coworkers. And like, you know, Mike just recently, you know, having he had a couple surgeries, and you know, whenever something happens to an actor, we're all like there. We're all there for them. So I think, like, you know, to name those people specifically, but I mean, I could probably go on and just start listing a bunch of voice actors that you'd know, because those, like, that's what we do, is we support each other, whether it's every day, or, you know, I've had actors that I've met once or twice, but when they're in the booth, maybe they're having a bad day, and you got to be like, hey, you know, cry it out, come here, like, you need a moment. Like, you know, you actors and directors and engineers, we're more than that. We're also like little, you know, support networks and therapists and things like that. You know, there have been so many wonderful performances that have come out of the stress of real life, when it's like, hey, what's happening? Okay, hey, do you want to act? You want to get this out? Okay, cool, let's go here, let's go there. And you know, that's what I'll say when people are like, man, voice actors in English, they don't sound as good, they don't try as hard. And it's like, we try so hard because we love it. We're not in this to be like, who cares? We're really trying to do our job. And then by and large, most of us are so into the shows and the characters and what we do. Like, I will go on and on. Like, I'll get in people's faces about One Piece, and when they're like, I don't like this voice actor, well, why don't you like this? Why don't you, like, tell me, talk to me, you have a reason. Like, I love talking about it, to be like, no, like, you have an opinion and I value that, but like, if you're just a hater to be a hater, don't do that. Like, we shouldn't be that way. We're all anime fans at the end of the day. And I remember when people would just say, like, nerd, they wouldn't say like, wait, do you watch the sub or dub? Oh, then you're cool. They just say like, anime, you're nerd. Didn't matter what you did. And so I don't like that division within it. I'm like, nah, man, we're a community.
Yeah, it always gets to me how much arguments and stuff you can get, like, in the anime world, and it be about the most stupid of things. You know what I mean? I remember there being a whole argument about, is the Gear 5 transformation as iconic as the Super Saiyan 1 transformation, and I'm like,
for me,
I was like, okay. I don't even want to get into that one. But and the only reason why I will say that in my quick spiel is I just feel like one is, to me, it's like, a game changer. It changed the way animation did power-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then another one is just more, it's cool. I like the transformation and everything, but I just don't feel like it has the same feel of when it happened. Like when Goku turned Super Saiyan, I feel like it was a whole another thing, but it could be my experience watching the show versus,
I agree though. I agree because I think what could have enhanced it is for my money, and this is my opinion, and this is me working on the show and knowing, I think Japan doesn't have the experience with Looney Tunes and that kind of animation. Like Japan by and large doesn't make that. So when they did that first Gear 5, what was it, episode 1070? It might have been 1070 or 1071, maybe 2, somewhere around there. But the first time he transforms, they used the same shots like 3 times. And the only reason I know that is because I had to direct all of those and be like, Colleen, we have to do this again, but it's the same thing, and I want to make it different, but it's the same animation, and they're coming back, and they're just showing him, and then, like, the next episode was when he was like, now I'm going to fight, now I'm all cool, and I'm like, well, that's the episode. It's not like, the episode shouldn't have been just him transforming. The transformation should have been so goofy and silly, and he gets right into the fighting, so that way because with Goku, he was like, and then it was over, but you knew that he was going to do something. With Gear 5, you needed to see that it was not just him being stronger. You needed to see that it was him being wacky and different. And I think that if they would have, that's why I'm excited for the One Piece, because I want to see that truncated, because I think that's going to give it the pacing that will make people say, now I get it. Because if you read the manga, it's just panel, and you're like flipping through them. And if you have a compilation, you're seeing the whole arc at the pace that you want to read it. You're like, oh my gosh. The show, it's like, how many times am I going to see Luffy like laugh, do this, and then like clap his feet over his head? Like, okay, he did that. Like, fight, do something. They're like, next time. Like, no. So I am 100%. And that's, once again, as a director, I had to make that episode fun, because it was like, man, they're using the same animation. Why? Like, this is hard. This is weird. Adapting is hard. So I get you, man. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you solely on that, because maybe if they did shorten it up instead of just having them bounce around for about half the episode until we actually get to see them, it probably could have been a pretty cool. Because I'm thinking with just the Saiyan transformation, you get the transformation, you get a speech, and then they're right into fighting. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? For my last question I want to ask you is, what ambitions or goals do you have yet to fulfill in the field of voice acting or directing? Things that you still want to do?
Oh man, there are, being here in Burbank or in California now, there are so many different studios out here, and there's a lot of people that I've gotten to work with because of specifically One Piece, like Matt Mercer, Ray Chase, Neil Kaplan, Jason Marnoka, Frank Tadaro, and all like these people that I didn't get to know, and I wouldn't have unless we had done that. So now that I'm here, like, oh God, Robbie Damon as Odin, like there are some Sungwon Cho as Cat Viper, like these people that I got to work with, now I'm in town with. I think I'm like Bill Butts, who's a good friend of mine. He played Jack. He lives like 10 minutes from me, and he's like, oh man, we're gonna have to play some board games. He's like, you play D&D? I'm like, Bill, you know I play D&D. So it's like I'm really looking forward, honestly, to these new people that I'm going to get to work with, just these new opportunities out here. And honestly, if I could get into some prelay, into like, and by that I mean like not dubbing, where it's like, yeah, you get to act and then they animate like around like Nickelodeon or something like that, you know. I'd love to be able to do like a something like that in that vein.
Oh, that's for sure. Well, if you run into Bill Butts, let him know that I would love to have him on the podcast.
Oh, he would absolutely. I mean, yes, I will let him know, because he will in a heartbeat be like, when? Can't touch me. Hell yeah. Like he is. I
For
love that.
sure.
Man.
He's
great.
Amazing. I love all the roles and stuff he's done. I've been trying to get him on, but I haven't been able to get him to get me back up.
Okay, here we go. All right. Now I gotta use my magic.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'll get him on there for you, man. You call me Joy Boy.
I appreciate it. For my last question I want to ask you is basically, how was it being part of a Spy Family? Like being a part of that animation and that anime, and then it coming out and it being as popular as it is? Because that's one show that when it first come out, you never know how good an anime is going to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for it to actually be as popular as it is, I think that's pretty cool.
Man, that is so special. When the auditions were coming out for that, I did an audition. I was still directing, and at the time, like we were knee deep in a lot of like One Piece stuff, and we got auditions, but the directors kind of had a different system because like we're directing all day from like 10 to 6. So if we need to be in a show or do something, that's going to conflict with if, you know, should we be doing something during the day, or we would have to record at night. So there was a lot of moving parts. But that first year when Chris George got the show, the sides came out and it was Lloyd, Yor, and Anya. It was like, okay. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm a Lloyd. Like, that doesn't seem like me. I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm not going to read for this. Like I don't, this show sounds cool, but maybe down the line, maybe there'll be a cool villain or something. And so I ignored it. And Chris George came to me and he goes, hey man, I put you as a role. I'm like, oh, cool. And he goes, it's you. He goes, I didn't want to. He goes, I'm going to audition you first, because that's what I want to hear. And I went and did it. And he goes, you're Franky. He's like, that's it, man. And it was because Chris and I had been playing D&D for, I think, 2 years before that. So we know.
Oh, you already kind of know what your voice sounds like.
Well, and because we're playing D&D, you know, I had DM'd, so I'm doing everyone. I'm the world. So that's what's fun about when you play with each other, because it's like, oh, what a fun voice, or he can do that. And for him, he was like, I know you can do this. And when I hopped in, he just kind of led me into it. And he's like, it's you though. So like being in that show and kind of having him say like, I want to try you out. And then for the show to kind of explode, I had heard like, oh man, it's going to do, like, people like it. And we hear that all the time. Like, oh, it's great in Japan. But then you have like sleeper hits like Yuri on Ice. No one thought that was going to be as popular, as wonderful and popular. So like things like that'll happen. Or the same with like One Piece. They thought this is the show and then didn't do well. And then we got it back. And it's like, as it turns out, the show cooks. But yeah, it's been so fun, and I love being Franky because it is funny. Like Megan and Alex and Natalie will go, you know, Anya and Lauren, Yor and Lloyd, they'll go to cons, and Tyler will also go. He's Bond, and Tyler Walker will go. So it'll be the family, and sometimes like I won't be at that con, so I'll like send pictures to them, or if they're all signing, like I'll go up behind them and be like, hey, here I am. Oh, that's funny. I'm like the Mike Wazowski when I'm just like, hey, here I am. And I'll like pop in. So I really like playing the character type of Franky too, when they're like, you know, when they announce the pops. Yeah. And I would send pictures of Franky crying, and I'm like, no love for Franky. But it's like, it's funny. I don't care, but it's funnier to do it online, to be like, it matters, where it's like, yeah, of course I'd love a pop. I would love to have a figure of me that I can like, oh, look, it's me. I think I got my little Lego Franky though.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, someone made me a little Lego. So I'm very big into like toys that are. I love my. Here's my one of my hero, Chronostasis, without his mask.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
But I like a lot of those things. That's what's fun for me, is when you get to interact with fans, because they want a little bit of that character. They want to meet that character. So Franky is the perfect guy that I can be out in public. And I love that he is also, you know, being Hispanic, I love that Franky is a character that a lot of POC people can cosplay as, with that hair and everything. Like, That's another big proponent. Like, I'm all about like inclusivity and all that. I'm like, get those voices. That's why, like, Wano, I was like, man, if we can't get these, I was like, I'm gonna make Wano with some of the best POC, like Keith Silverstein and Bill Butts, and when we had it was Jack and like all the top, Gabe Kunda as King, like getting these powerhouses and just being like, go, Major Attaway as Queen. Getting to direct him singing Zoom in Broadway Baby. Dude, I mean, I am so proud of the side-by-side of here's the J version of Zoom in and here's the English. And I'm like, please tell me. I know you love the J, but please tell me that the English version doesn't cook. Come on. I just dare you. Like, you don't have to like one over the other, but you cannot tell me that he did not kill on that.
Amazing. He did a great job on that. I think I'd seen it when he was on TikTok and he was singing the song at a convention. And it was pretty cool. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask, is there anything else you want to discuss?
Man, can you do my taxes? Let's discuss that. What can I write on that?
Man, I would hate to probably do your taxes because y'all are what, 1099 workers?
Oh yeah, we have a bunch of those where it's like, here you go. Nah, man. I mean, this has been wonderful. You've asked some amazing questions, man. I've talked about this. Dude, I don't know what else I could say, man, unless you got more questions, but
I don't have anything else. But man, I want to say it was a pleasure having you on and talking to you and being able to hear about the industry from your perspective has been amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, man. And anytime you let me know, man, I'd love to come back. I always love talking about the industry, talking about my friends, talking about that. So anytime you want to have me back, man, I'd love it.
For sure. We definitely need to come back and just have a conversation just about One Piece and just talk about the series. I think that would be pretty cool.
I think I could do that.
Who else? I had I always have messed his name up. Mauricio Ortiz.
Yeah.
And we were talking about One Piece because he's another big One Piece lover. Oh man. And the amount of stuff he knows about the series is amazing. That was probably one of my funnest conversations. Because to me, it's very fun to talk to actors that really know a lot about certain animes they're in, and they are like really deep into it, and they're just as much of a fan as I am. You know what I mean? And you get some that are and some that aren't, and I'm not like criticizing either or, but it's just, it's just more fun when they are real fans of the show. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Like in the Whole Cake Island arc, the first time I ever worked with Aaron Campbell, he auditioned for Perospero. He sounds just like the J. He's killing it. Like he is so good, and he is also such a huge fan. And that for me is also what puts it over the top, because I could talk to him as an actor. Yeah, we got this. And then we could take a step back and be like, okay, so in the show, this is happening in this. And then we would use that to kind of like fuel what we know is going to happen and like how we want stuff to go. And like, yeah, Perospero, he needs to have this turn. And he'll always be like, he did nothing wrong. Perospero did nothing wrong. Like we like, it is so fun to have that interaction on any show that you can get into. Like, but the fact that when they love it and you can talk to them about it and have an actual conversation, man, that to me is just the best. Because then as a director, I love talking to fans and being like, hey, what would be cool? Oh, do you think that yeah, we think that Vegapunk should sound German, that he should sound like Einstein. And I know that like Emily and I were like, I had left already and I was like, hey, Em, like, have you heard Kent Williams audition, and he did this, like he sounds really good, and like stuff like that when they're fans and they really want it. I'm just it gives so much life to that show when you can feel like the actors are really into it rather than just like, hey, here's a paycheck.
For sure.
Yeah.
And with that, we end today's episode. I want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. I had a lot of fun and learned so much more about the industry of voice acting, and hopefully you listeners did too. Before we close out, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to plug themselves, basically tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, wonderful. I'm on the usual social medias. Like they say, I'm on X, at at bowling, the number 4 anime, at bowling 4 anime. And that's where I usually post stuff that I'm working on or doing or hyping up fellow voice actors. And then I have a much a lesser used Insta, Anthony Bowling VA, but that is mainly for like travel and pictures and big stuff. But I need to do that more. But you can check me out there or Google me. Google me, everyone.
I will have all his links and stuff below. So if you guys have any questions about any series that he's been a part of, or if you got any questions about how to become a voice actor, you can hit him up. And with that, I'll just say, peace.